HaKadosh Bochem Shalom Aleichem Shalom Aleichem HaKadosh Shabbat Shalom. We're delighted to have you with us. My name is Barry Nicholsberg. I have the honor of being the cantorial soloist here at Temple Beth David, a proud member of the Union of Reform Judaism. We are based in Snellville, Georgia, which is part of Metro Atlanta. And I know that on a weekly basis, people all around the United States are tuning in to watch us. For that, we are eternally grateful. As we get started with this evening's service, let me start by thanking Bobby Horowitz, our board vice president and lead guitar, Frank Monteleone, also on guitar, Jim and Heather Murray singing, and this evening, back at the board, there's, I was going to say, my wife, Jeannie Nicholsberg, she's sort of looking on, who will actually be more in charge next week. She's cool as a cucumber about it. And, of course, there's Denise Whitlock, our streaming specialist, and Judy Kern is back there as well this evening. She is president of our congregation. Please know that if you would like to join this Shabbat band of ours, you play an instrument, you sing, whatever it is you'd like to do, you are certainly welcome. Andrew St. Clair, if you're watching, we miss you dearly and hope you're back as soon as possible. Ask yourself this question. Where was I last Shabbat? Not physically. Where was your head last Shabbat? Where were you spiritually? Were you rushed? Did you savor the coming of Shabbat? What's happened in the past 6 days? They go so quickly, I can hardly take notice. What kind of person was I this week? Ask yourself, were you thoughtful? Were you superficial? Were you preoccupied? Were you appreciative? Did you laugh? Did you cry? Did you tell anyone how much you love him or her? Did you use your week well? And what does that even mean? What lessons will you take with you into the future? Think about this. As I enter Shabbat, I release the past week, its joys and its sorrows. I free myself from any misgivings or guilt. I am ready to look for new happiness and bring the best of me to new experiences during the week to come. With that, I would like to invite our board president, Judy Kern, to come up and light the Shabbat candles. You can read along on page 121.
Please read along with me at the top of page 121. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher Kishano B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Lehadlik Ner Shel Shabbat. Thank you. We're about to sing Lecha Dodi. We haven't done this particular version of it in quite some time. So I hope you will enjoy it. And my memory says it's on page 138, but I don't know if that's true. But it is, in fact, true, yes. Lecha Dodi, page 138. Please join us in singing along with this wonderful song as we greet the Sabbath bride. La 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 Lecha Dodi, la 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 Likrat Kala, la 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 B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat Nekamu. Shamos Achor is good Nekamu. Yishvianu Ehamanu Adonai Echad Shemo Echad L'Shem Tiferet Gelet Yunada La 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 Lecha Dodi La 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 Likrat Kala, la 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 B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat Nekamu. B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat Nekamu. Please rise, face the door we came in. If you can't rise physically, please do it spiritually. And here we go. Shalom. B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat Nekamu, B'nei Shabbat Nekamu, B'nei Shabbat Nekamu. Please be seated. Would you please turn to page 144 and follow along as Bobby leads us in the Reader's Kaddish, page 144.
Yikadav Yikadash Shemei Rabbah
Amen.
Amadi barach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechonu v'yomeichon uv'chay d'chol beit Yisrael bagala bagala uv'izman karim v'imru amen Yehi shmei rabba mevorach ve'olam ulal me'amaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitmamam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemed kudashav richu Leila mikro berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'yama v'imru
Amen. Would you please turn to page 146 and rise for the call to worship, the Baruch. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMivorach Adonai HaMivorach HaMivorach Le'olam If you would, please remain standing and turn to page 148. Read along with me at the bottom of the page, starting with Blessed are you. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the season, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzavot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. Please remain standing. Turn to page 151. Join me as it starts Wisdom and Wonder in the middle of the page. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 152. Please join us in the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated. If you would, please turn to page 154 and join me as I lead in the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibata bam b'shiftecha b'veitecha u'v'leftecha b'derech u'b'shoftecha u'v'kumecha u'kshatam ne'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot ben einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem Emet. Would you please, I know it's here somewhere, yes, page 156. Would you please turn to 156? At the bottom of the page, read along with me as we read, all this we hold. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior, who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You perform miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously. Please join us on page 158 as we sing Mi Chamocha. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'er b'kodesh, Torah tehilot oseh peleh. Torah tehilot oseh peleh. Malachut tikara u'vanecha vokei ayam shehu Miriam she'eliyam she'eliyam Adonai imloch le'olam Adonai imloch le'olam ha'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'er b'kodesh, Torah tehilot oseh peleh, Torah tehilot oseh peleh. Thank you. If you would, let's keep going. We're going to sing Yismechu on page 162. we're going to skip. What? You don't want? All right, you want? Like I said, we're going to do Hashkivenu on page 160. Then we'll do something on 162. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Bobby. So much for my notes.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu LaShalom, LaShalom. V'hamidenu Malkeinu LaChaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Now Yismachu.
Bishamru.
Oh, Vishamru. You're absolutely right, Jim. Maybe I should sit down for a while. Vishamru on page 162. Please join us. My apologies for all those who really like Yismachu. We'll get there next week, I promise.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat l'asor et ha-Shabbat ledoratim b'ritolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat l'asor et ha-Shabbat ledoratim b'ritolam. B'nei Israel, B'nei Israel, Odi L'olam. Vishamru B'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat l'asor et ha-Shabbat ledoratim b'ritolam. Asay Adonai, Asay Adonai,
Et ha-Shamayim
v'et ha'aretz. Vishamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat l'asor et ha-Shabbat ledoratim b'ritolam. Umayom hashvi'i Shabbat v'yinachash, Shabbat v'yinachash, Shabbat v'yinachash. Vishamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat l'asor et ha-Shabbat ledoratim b'ritolam.
Would you please turn to page 164 and Please join us in the tefillah, the standing prayer. I invite you to rise spiritually and or physically. Anananananana Adonai. Anananananana Saftai Tiftach. Anananananana Ufi Tahilatecha. Anananananana Adonai. Anananananana Saftai Tiftach. Ananananana Ufi Tahilatecha. Ananananana Adonai. Ananananana Saftai Tiftach. Ananananana Ufi Tahilatecha. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomer chasadim tovim, v'konei hakol, v'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'megula livnei bneihem, l'ma'an shemo b'yahava, melech ozer u'mashiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham, v'yetzrat Sarah. Page 168. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, Mechaye hakal ata rab le'oshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somef noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asorim, Kayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha bal gevurot umidomelach melech memi chaye umatzmiya mitshua V'ne'emanat alecha yod ha'akol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye ha'akol. Page 170. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated. Our worlds are busy and noisy. Traffic jams, horns blaring, cell phones ringing, text messages buzzing. Too often we hear without listening. Let's take a moment to embrace the gift that only the quiet in this sanctuary and in our own minds can deliver. I invite you to join me in praying silently. Benjamin, this is for you.
Vani tefilati Adonai Eretzon Bani tefilati Adonai Eretzon Elohim Erokatem Hanani Bemet Yishecha Elohim Erokatem
Benjamin, I'm really glad you like that because I love singing it. Would you please turn to page 371? There are times when we pray for healing. Pray for those we love, and even for those we don't. If you have names that you would like to add to this evening's Mishaberach list, and you're streaming this, please type them into the chat so that Judy can read them aloud. Judy?
Sarah Berlin, Ann Olin, Susie Horowitz, Susan Ellers, Bobby Crone, Pat Winters, Wendy Fine, Marcia Ringo, Barry Diskin, Barb Yarborough, Sarah Gambrell, Katie Walmer, Morris and Felice Friedman, Peter Yarrow, Sandy Steinberger, Bob Kersner, Irv Zisselman, Katie Fink, Manier family, all those suffering from COVID-19, Shannon Pointer, Ellie Freed, Rabbi Blooming, Morris and Felice Friedman, J.J. Roth, Cameron Turner, Rosa Dubois, Irene Namer, Sam Namer, Don St. Clair, Lainey Roan, Linda Ehrensaft, Don Ehrensaft, Marcy Schulman, Joe Wagner, Sherry Silver, Barbara Frank, Haley Silverman, Andrew St. Clair, Mike Roth, Dennis Sadler, Lisa Ann Gaston, Don Copsey, Emily Holler, Rebecca Holler, Graham Baker, Kay Omer.
Thank you. Frank?
Dylan Jasmine Milligan, Nicole Gavante, Catherine Seidel, Jim Wade, and Rabbi Fredman.
Thank you. Bobby? I will. Oh, yeah. Bobby, I'll get back.
Ron Robinson, Ed Watkins, Andrew Wheeler.
Thank you. Jim, Heather, Judy?
Magretta McCarthy, Patty Beeman.
Okay. Jeannie? Okay. Anything? No other names? Okay. Forgive me for just a moment while I... All right. Denise, you have no names, right? Okay, fine. Paula? Thank you. Wendy? Barbara? Jackie? I will add the names Kenny Woodruff, Andrew St. Clair, Shelley Perkle, Joanne Schoen, Nancy Galbraith, Robin Van Loo, Heather Murray, Linda Nelson, Margaret Pennington, Joanne Stein, Julia Hampton, Kevin Middleton, Brenda Gibson, Mickey D'Amato, Peter Yarrow, Anya Polara, Ben DeSalvo, Marilyn Thorpe, Megumi Allen, Marie Plakos, Esther Borg, and all those who have died from COVID-19 from the first to now. I also add the name Chris Dillard. He is with us this evening as we regrettably require police officers here when we're in the building. I pray for the day when we don't need police officers here. At any rate, with that, please join me on page 371 in singing Misha Berach.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Yishevera imotenu mekor habracha leravotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And so we come to another Devar Torah. When I was growing up, I thought numbers was the toughest part of the Torah. Now I don't have a toughest part. They're all tough. And so I must pick one thing from this week to focus on. And the one thing I decided to focus on was growing old. I complain about it all the time. I tell people I have the body of a man twice my age. And regrettably, it's true. I love the person who said, you know, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. This is the first time in the Torah that anyone is called old. It was Abraham. He was 175. We think of that as old, but Noah lived to over 900 years. There are several people who lived over 900 years. That seems like a sentence rather than a longevity. But Abraham is the first to be called old. So the question is why? Why were the others not old when they were 900 years old, and why, when Abraham came along, was he old at 175? Because he had gray hair. He felt he looked too youthful. And so he asked God, please give him the look of someone older so that he might command a bit more respect. And he awoke with gray hair. You know, when we have gray hair, we often dye our hair. If we start to get wrinkles, we use special creams. Or, if you really want to get into it, you could have facelifts. Why do we do this? Why are we so afraid of growing old? What's the alternative? You know, I was thinking about this a lot this week. People who are older tend to get sicker than people who are young. So what does that mean? What does it mean? There has to be a meaning why we get sick, or sicker than those who are young. I think it's God's way of saying, use your time wisely. We all think of ourselves as here forever. And we're not. And when we're sick, we slow down. When I had a detached retina, I slowed to a complete stop. People get sick. People slow down. People focus, and they start to use their time much more wisely. The Torah then says that gray hair is a crown. Think about that. It says nothing of having no hair. Two days before my mother died, she looked up at me and she said, you know, growing old is not for sissies. Regrettably, I didn't quite understand her then. I'm getting it, Mom. As we grow older, I was told there are two real advantages to growing older. The first is you outlive your enemies. But you outlive your friends and your loved ones as well. Loss causes us to reevaluate what we have and how we want our lives to be in the future. But it is still incumbent upon us to make that change, to address that part of our lives or our relationships that we want to improve. Going forward, may we have the strength to weather our losses, great and small. May we be gifted with clarity of vision to truly take stock of ourselves in the face of loss. We don't take care of ourselves in the face of loss. When we sit Shiva, others take care of us. And yet, we must take stock of ourselves. We have the desire and the will to make the changes that we need to make in our lives. And if we're very lucky, may we move forward from our losses stronger than before. Shabbat Shalom. Okay. Would you join me up here to open the would you please turn to page 586 and rise for the Aleinu? When we finish, we'll close everything up. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'ateit gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kegoye haratzot v'lo samanu k'mishbechot hadam shelo sam חלקנו כהם וגור עלינו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש שהומלות השמיים ועושה הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושינתנו זאת בכל מרומים ואלוהינו אלוהינו אמת מלכנו אפס סגולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום להשיבותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים השמיים ממעל ועל הארץ Page 588, please join me in reading in the middle of the page, starting with, For you spread out the heavens. For you spread out the heavens and established the earth. Your majestic abode is in the heavens above, and your mighty presence is in the loftiest heights. You are our God, and there is none else. In truth, you are our sovereign without compare, as is written in your Torah. Know then this day and take it to heart, that Adonai is surely God in the heavens above and on the earth below. There is none else. Page 591. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Please be seated. Our custom, our mincha here, which we've been doing far too long, is to chant El Malei Rachamim for those who have died of COVID, not just those Americans, people around the globe, of every race, religion. Makes no difference. It really, COVID seems to treat everybody about the same. I think the word I look for is ruthlessly. And so we will continue chanting El Malei Rachamim until people stop dying from COVID. El Malei. El Malei Rachamim Shochein Maromim Hamse Menucha Nechona Tacha Kanfei HaShekhinah Im Kedoshim HaTehorim Kezohar Harakia Masirim Lanishmot Yakireino Shachol Le'amam Bal Harachamim Yasti Rembesefter Kinafav Leolamim Bitzror HaChayim et Nishmatam Adonai hu nachalatam v'yanu b'shalom hamishkavam v'nomar. Join me, please. Amen. If you are in a period of Shiva the first 7 days, you are mourning the loss of someone, please type it into the chat room. Anyone here? Robert Diskin, thank you. May his memory always be a blessing. Kenny Woodruff lost a very dear friend this week. I only knew his first name as Tom. I just never knew his last name. But it's a tragic loss. And Kenny, we are there with you, praying with you, and for you to get through this horrible time. Are we in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days? This is the very last day of Shloshim. Jennifer Tidra Harrington. She passed on the 29th of September. We also remember Zelda Abbas, Richard Eggers, Joel Kellner, Daniel Jacob Horowitz, Amelia Gress, Marcia Manishin, Irma Schiller, Phyllis Blooming, Daniel Joseph Middleton, Larry Kramer, David Yarborough, Sylvia Cart, Rossi Davis, Laura Russignac Rosen, Louis Jutzi, Michael Bernard, Annette Carter, Robert Diskin, and Erwin Finkelman. We also remember in this particular week the following who have died in years past: Emily Epstein, Sandy Rubenstein, Erwin Finkelman, Evelyn Frankel, and Max Paratsky. Are there any other names? Then I would ask you please to join me as together we rise as a community of one to support those who are in mourning. As on page 598, we recite the mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Bi'alma divrach hirutei Bi'amlich malchutei B'chayachon v'yomechon V'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olahu Almei Umayah. Yitborach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemed kudsha barichu la'elamim kol bechata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimroma, uyaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Please be seated. On page 647, please join us in singing Oseh Shalom. You will quickly note that there's a harmony and a melody, and we go back and forth. Just pick one you like and stay with it.
Oseh Shalom Bimroma Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu Yaakov Israel V'yimeru Amen. Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Yaakov, Israel, V'yimeru Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Hallelujah, Yaakov, Israel, V'yimeru Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Yaakov, Israel, V'yimeru Amen. Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Yaakov, Israel, V'yimeru Amen.
Last time.
Oseh Shalom, Bimroma, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Yaakov, Israel, V'yimeru Amen.
Announcements. Judy, do you have any?
Of course. Sunday at 12:30, the Sisterhood is sponsoring an outdoor planter demo. Please join them. There was an email sent out last week with a vote for the Rabbi Selection Committee. The voting is open until November 1st. Please vote. Just for those who may be looking for Moderna booster shots, I found them at Target and at the CVS on Cruise Road. The appointments are available. And Frank says he got it at Publix. It was a search because most of the CVSs are carrying Pfizer, so you have to pick and choose what you want. And I want to thank Officer Dillard for watching over us tonight.
Anything else? I would announce that we will be starting a Jewish conversion class on Sunday, the 21st of November. We don't know how long it will last, 6 months, 8 months, we don't know. But for those of you who wish to find out more about Judaism, I would invite you to take the class. There is no proselytizing in Judaism. We jointly will try and convince people not to become Jewish. And if we fail, then they really wanted to do it. But if you simply want to learn more about the religion, you are more than welcome to join us. Just let Judy know at president@templebethdavid.info. With that, I invite you all to rise for the priestly blessing, Yivarechecha.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May Adonai bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yishmerecha.
May Adonai shed light upon you and be gracious unto you.
Yisrael Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May Adonai's face be lifted unto you and grant you peace.
V'yasem lecha shalom.
From Snellville, Georgia, all of us at Temple Beth David, thank you for being with us. Have a safe one. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.